Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel, where I have actually just finished my coffee. I have just showered and actually fixed my hair for you guys because I put a little bit of pink on my blonde hair. It was looking a little green, but I put some pink on it and I'm really liking it for just wanting something a little bit different. Now, does it look super pink in the camera? I'm kind of looking. It does not, but in my bathroom, it does, and in the sunshine, it kind of does. But I only wanted a small tint, and it will hopefully wash out. So we'll see how long it lasts. But we're not talking about hair, and even though we're out of coffee, we are talking about books. Now, the book that I'm talking about today is called The Dark Library by Mary Anna Evans. And I'm going to tell you right off the bat that it was not what I expected. We're going to dive into the summary before I give you my thoughts, and we'll go from there. Can a family's dark history repeat itself? Estella Ecker has returned to Rockfall House, the last place on earth she wants to be. Years after she ran away from her overbearing father, she's been forced back home to walk in his footsteps, teaching at the college he dominated and living in the fabulous home where he entertained artists and scholars for decades. And perhaps she owns it now because her mercurial mother has disappeared. At the center of everything, the whispers, the rumors, the secrets, is her father's library of rare books, which she has been forbidden to touch while he was alive to stop her. Everyone in town is watching Estella, with her dead father's name on their lips, and no one seems to care about her missing mother. Who were her parents? Really? Oh, who are her parents really? And is the answer hidden somewhere in the depths of the Rockfall house? And who will Estella be if she gathers enough courage to find that answer? What she will discover is that no one can escape the secrets hidden in this dark library. Suspenseful and unsettling, but ultimately triumphant, The Dark Library by acclaimed author Mary Anna Evans is a compelling tale of mystery, family secrets, and the quest for truth. It is considered mystery, historical fiction, if I can speak correctly today, gothic, historical, and a thriller. I am not 100% certain about the thriller part, but we'll get there. It's about 384 pages in paperback, although when I was reading on the e-reader, and I'm just going to kind of because I always make a little note, I want to say that my Kindle edition was only about 300-ish pages, so I don't know. I don't know why my e-reader always comes up short by about 75 or 80 pages compared to what the publication says they should be. I don't think I'm missing pages. I really don't. But we're expected publication on June 24th of 2025, so I will release this around that time frame. It may be on or around somewhere. Now, Mary Anna Evans has released quite a few other books, and I haven't read them, but I'm intrigued. I may give a couple others a chance. And I say this one was not what I expected because I didn't expect it to be a war story. I think because of the way it starts, I thought it was going to be an academic story. And so we do meet our main character of E. She does seem to go by E. She doesn't like to go by Estella. She has come back home after the disappearance of her mother. And then within a short period of time, and I want to say about 2 weeks or approximately 15 days, her father also passes away. Now, it seems as though right around the disappearance of her mother, her father had a stroke. And so his speech is very slurred, and he's not able to convey any sort of meaningful message about what happened to her mother. And so it does end up being kind of slow with regards to what is happening. I don't know if the author intended to do that purposefully to be more suspenseful, but for me it just felt a little slow and drawn out and not really necessary. I think we could have made it I we could have sped it up just a little bit in my personal thoughts. So that's one of my thoughts, is that I didn't expect it to be like have war in it, when I thought this was more dark. And I don't want to say dark academia, but you're going to call it the dark library, and then we're going to have folk battles and splashes of war. And I think that was where I got a little bit like, wait a minute, when did, like, why are we going in this direction? So I was a little confused at times, because it didn't make a lot of sense to me. So for the first, I would say 20% of the book, we have E, who is starting to take over her father's estate. She seems to be the only heir to her parents. She's the only child, and her mother is missing right now, and it is not, I guess, not presumed deceased yet. There's been no body, and so E does not want to claim that she's dead. So, they've tried dragging the river. They found a lot of bones, but so far none of them really seem to be her mother. They've found bones, but in 2 weeks, the body shouldn't be bones. But it's also very interesting that there seems to be so many females in this river that are, that they're just turning up so many more bodies. And each time, E is having to go and try to identify these bodies that are not her mother. And that's also very interesting as well, because a lot of them also have ties to the college that she's been working at, that her father was the dean to. Now, when her father passed, a different gentleman became the dean, and he was only the dean for about, let's just say a short period of time. I don't remember what they said the time frame was. It was 2 weeks to a month before he was found over the edge of a balcony. Again, I'm not trying to give spoilers, but let's just say he and the edge of a balcony saw themselves at odds with each other, whether intentionally or unintentionally, and so he didn't make it. And so now there's yet another death linked to the college. So just a lot of that seems to be going on. Lots of menacing things happening, secrets happening. So when I picked up this book, and it was called The Dark Library, and I started reading it, and she was working at a college. Now, they only gave her at the college, now funny enough, because her father was a dean for a while, they only gave her the title of a research assistant because, well, when the men come back from war, they're going to need their professorship positions back, and so we can't have the females taking those roles. So, of course, she was, even though she's got a doctorate and is very capable of being in these roles, his name only got her foot in the door, even though he was a top administrator. She was only granted a position as a research assistant, which could barely cover much real, monetary wise. So when she starts trying to figure out, okay, well, let me figure out the finances for my father's house, she finds he has no real money either. She finds that the house is not doing great. She does not know how he's been paying for his parties. She does not know how he's been paying for his rare book collections or any of that thing or any of that sort of thing whatsoever. She even speaks to his lawyer attorney friend who's been supposedly his financial advisor, and the financial advisor has no real knowledge either of where his day-to-day funds may be. Now, one particular day she finds about $500, but I don't know how long that's going to really last her until she decides she's going to try to tear this whole house apart to try to figure out if there's any more money squirreled away. Anyway, there's a lot of things happening in the book, and so I am trying to avoid some spoilers. I'm just trying to set the stage for the things that are happening in the beginning, because we do have quite a bit, to uncover. She's got some stuff that she is going to have to figure out. Her money's not doing great. The house, is kind of on shaky grounds. Her father's past is fairly shady at best. Her mother is missing. And it does seem as though the house is built on a cliff above the town. All of this sort of stuff really comes into play. That's a good way to put it. It is kind of like that gothic where you've got this house and it's dark and broody and moody sitting on this cliff. And of course there is the father's rare books, and she does consider selling some of these rare books, but it's kind of a last resort sort of thing. The local cops really are convinced that Estella's mother, Eve's mother, must have committed suicide, thrown herself potentially off the cliff prior to her father's demise. So all of these things are on the horizon. I wish I had read this on a rainy weekend or something when the mood was just broody. I think it would have been perfect for that. I didn't. I read it in the peak of the hot summer. So my moody atmosphere was not perfect, but I think this would be great for the fall when the trees are losing their leaves and you're getting that really good vibe. So just kind of just kind of getting some of that, just to throw that out there for you. But trying to think of what else I want to tell you without doing any spoilers. Oh, so someone else mentioned it is timed in World War II with the background of her working, of course, in the university. So we did kind of mention that. It is family mystery, so I kind of mentioned that already. I'm just trying to think, because again, I'm trying not to spoil anything. And of course, we have her father passing, her mother missing, assumed dead, her moving back into her childhood home, triggered memories. Yeah, I think Now, someone mentioned the gothic tones, and for a great book for those who love Daisy Darker. Questionable regarding Daisy Darker. I like Daisy Darker up until the end. Just throwing that out there. I like Daisy Darker up until the end, so I'm not sure about that. Because Daisy Darker was not a slow-paced book. Daisy Darker was a quick-paced book that right up until the end it had me. And then I was like, really? This is what we end with? So I'm not sure about that. So Bonnie Smith, I'm not sure I completely agree with all of that. But really, I thought this was pretty good. Again, I wasn't expecting it. I think I give this book a 4-star. It did keep my interest. It was a little slow. And oh, okay, so this person. So the entire story, I was just waiting to learn what the title truly meant because, again, I thought it was more about the college that she was working at or her father's library. And so once you actually get it, it's like, wow. And so, yeah, so that makes sense. Yeah, so yeah, she's right. The last maybe 10% of the book is where that slow paced kind of picks back up. All right. Yep, I agree with this particular person of Michaela yeah, I think Michaela Bumblebee's Library. You hit the nail on the head with that. That's why I kind of like to kind of peruse some people's reviews when I'm kind of talking to you all. Is just because sometimes when I'm talking to you all in kind of this free flow thinking, by looking at their reviews, it helps trigger some of the thoughts I want to mention and makes my free flow thinking a little bit more, I guess, triggered in a way, but hopefully in a good way. I don't want to all forget what I'm trying to say, but I also don't want to spoil things. And I think the ending was good, but it was like, wow. But I didn't know what I was getting. So there you go. It is slow, though, and I think that was my biggest issue with the book. It was kind of slow, and I did kind of where it was like 340 pages. I think mine was like 300 pages on my Kindle. I think I could have done with like 50 pages less just so we could have gotten there a little bit quicker. I don't know if I needed to know about her like slogging through the finances or struggling so much with the like college. I'm not sure. But ultimately, I enjoyed it. Ultimately, it was a good read. I also think I wish I would have read it in like the fall winter time when the mood was just right. Feels like a moodier read, and Summer Sun is more for like pool. Like I need a poolside read. But all right, I'm gonna go ahead and leave this here, and I'll let you make the decision on whether this is a read for you at this time or whether you want to put it on your fall/winter moody vibes read for the gothic season, because maybe that's when you want to read it. Who knows? But thank you so much for joining me on this journey. I will see you all on the next page. Have a great one.